Well, welcome back. This is still Spotlight with Messi on Kaftan Television. Right now, I'm being joined by Dr. Tanko Junisa, who is the interim national coordinator of Obedient Movement. Hello, very good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Glad to have you join me on the show this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening. Well, let me begin by saying, talk to us about the recent developments of your party. Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso has offered to be the running mate of your candidate come 2027 election. Talk to us about that.
Well, let me say categorically that right before the 2023 general election, there have been a concerted effort in trying to see where we can work together as a team with different political parties and individuals who have been able to make a lot of mark in the political terrain. And Engineer Rabi Musa Kwankwaso was one of them at that time. And we all agree that no single person can be able to midwife or challenge this particular situation, even before the 2023 general election. So it's not a surprise to us if there is this particular story that is making around that he offered to be the running mate to His Excellency Peter Gregory Obi, which will be a step in the right direction if that situation will be confirmed to be true. But as far as we are concerned, we will always be ready to welcome anybody that is willing to build a new Nigeria that is full of fairness and equity for all. So that statement is part of the program or work that was being done for over the years, and then we'll be glad to work with a lot of people if the target is to emancipate Nigeria and Nigerians alike.
All right, so should we expect like an alliance between the Labour Party and the New Nigerian People Party? Is there any form of alliance? Should we expect something like that? Because, you know, breaking the news today, we saw it, it made headlines, and so a lot of people were curious. Will there be any form of formal alliance between the two political parties?
Yeah, that, like I said in 2022, the National Consultative Front midwife an arrangement within all the political parties. Eventually, we come to a conclusion of having about 5 political parties. The 5 political parties were ZLP, ADP, ADC, ZLP, and PRP. And then at that point, the target was to get a merger. Interestingly, that particular meeting was held at in your office there, and then we couldn't come to a conclusion as regards to a merger because time really caught us with us. Okay, including SDP as at that time. But as it is now, there may be a technical discussion on how or what is the motives operandi. If such alliance is to take place, then we have to sit down and have a discussion on the matter.
Okay. Now, you laid emphasis on bad leadership as a major challenge in Nigeria during the 64th independence anniversary just about 1 week ago. And when it comes to the political system, what difference would have your candidate made if he had emerged the winner of the 2023 general election?
And people who are talking about that, we all agree that there will be removal of subsidy. Yes, there is. Like, for example, if I want to come to Kaftan TV, I may decide to land in that your space with an helicopter. I may decide to come by road. If I like, I may decide to trek. So there's every different ways of entry into Kaftan TV. And then when you enter, that means that you have a different motive operandi. For the present government, they decide to go to the public and then make a pronouncement without even preparing. In our own case, we have already said that we will have to build in modular refineries as a short-term gap to make sure that we are producing oil by ourselves and making the life of our people more comfortable. So that way, even before you remove the oil subsidy, you must have prepared ground. You must have been prepared to lead, and that is exactly what we intend to do. And then even if you are to really more or less like take loans, we are saying that ours is a production to consumption. It's not that you just consume without production. That's what we find ourselves at the moment. And then we are saying that we should subsidize production. Take loans if necessary, or look inwards and subsidize production. Let the Nigerian people be more productive in whatever endeavor they find themselves, rather than just to be consuming without being production. As we speak today, majority of what we have in country is that we are only consuming. In fact, even the loan we take, we consume it. So that way, there's not going to be any kind of growth as leadership and in governance. So that is what we intend to do. The dynamics of governance differ, and we intend to bring prudency, accountability, and transparency into the system with prudent spending, which is key. But we have people in government that people just spend money without really prioritizing it to the interest of the people. And we cannot do that.
Okay, I would have loved it if you had told us if any form of alliance is going to be formally made between the New Nigerian People Party and your party, but nevertheless, we're just going to keep fingers crossed while things unfold. But should any of such happen, what is your motive behind, or what will be your motive behind the alliance? Or is your motive about, emerging in power to make corrections or to overthrow the current party which is in power?
Governance, difference in modus operandi of methodology in terms you govern. There would be a lot of difference, because the truth about this is that the driving force behind any governance that His Excellency Peter Obi is interested in driving is about the people. People first. Because when you find yourself in position of power, the people vote for you, and they have a reason why they vote. They want power supply. They want good health facilities. They want network of roads. They want educational facilities to be available for their children and their unborn children. These are 5 indices that we have been battling with for decades. And up to now, almost no leader have been able to achieve one of it clearly. No single leader. I mean, can you imagine up to now we'll be battling with get to destination from point A to point B? The security situation in Nigeria is getting worse. When you go to hospital to get to administer healthcare services to the people becomes so difficult, and then to even get food on the tables of Nigerians is unbelievably insulting and tiring. The network of roads cannot be accessible, and these are things that's supposed to be the normal indices that every leader is supposed to provide for anybody that he or she is governing. So, but in our case in Nigeria, is they look at it as if maybe they are doing people a favor. Can you imagine when somebody is celebrating that he has put up maybe a borehole or something, that when it's supposed to be a necessity, not a privilege?
Well, I am curious to ask, Kenneth Okonkwo, is he still the spokesperson of a Labour Party? If so, do you sense a kind of crisis in your party? Because there is a viral video in the internet where he's saying that your candidate don't seem to be ready for the job. Of course, I don't know if you've seen it, but he said he's not going to speak for someone who doesn't seem to be ready for the job. He meant your candidate is not ready to take the necessary steps and welcome the risk that is involved in politics. He went on to make emphasis that you're coming to politics, if you're coming to politics, you keep religion aside. So I don't know, what did you make out of that video of your spokesperson, his view about your candidate? Dr. Tanko, are you still there? Hello, Dr. Tanko. Well, we'll have to go on a short break and be back in a bit. Do stay with us. welcome back. While I'm still being joined by Dr. Tanko Yunusi. Dr. Tanko, if you can hear me, did you get my last question?
Yes, you are asking me about whether Kenneth Okonkwo is still a spokesman.
Yes, and what did you make out of what he said about your candidate? He said your candidate don't seem to be ready for the job. Is that true?
Well, you see, everybody has his perception and understanding about politics. Politics is about a marathon race. It's not a short-term policy or thing that somebody will do. And so, while I appreciate Kenneth Okonkwo's individual view, but it may not generally be the views of the generality of Nigerians.
Okay.
As far as we are concerned, we know very well that my principal, His Excellency Peter Obi, is more than ready for the job. This he has proven when he was a governor in Anambra State. And I must also add here, during the time he was running for election, he started as just one person, one single Peter Obi, that moved around from one place to another before he was able to get the attention of quite a number of people. Now today, because of his advocacy, he has been able to get 12.5 million Nigerians to register to vote for him. And at the end of it all, he was allocated 6 million. So would you say that such a person is not prepared or ready to run for election? Obviously, no. He is definitely ready to run for election. It's just that maybe the way you think and your modus operandi may be different from the way he thinks and how he thinks certain things can be done.
Okay. Now, Nigeria is not. We don't seem to be. Nigeria is in a very tight and very hard phase due to the policies that is being taken by the current administration. Do you think your candidates would have done better?
Oh, far better. Far better. Because you know why?
Why?
The Nigerian situation because the Nigerian situation is such in a bad state that even when you provide the Nigerian people with potable drinking water, you have already achieved something. If it's just one out of the 5 indices that I've mentioned, you are able to achieve as a president, you have achieved a lot. Can you imagine if a president like a Peter Obi was able to get, as we speak, we're talking about 12.5 megawatts of electricity to be generated, or we now generate like 15 megawatts, and then we now start having stable supply of power for 9 or 15 or 20 hours. Can you just imagine that? That would have been a huge success. Or you talk about getting the right medical care for the Nigerian people. That would have been awesome. Or rather, you said network of roads. For example, while we are here in Abuja, the only road that links the north with the south is that of Abuja-Kaduna Road that is being beautifully repaired, and everywhere you are having a good network of roads. That would have been a great achievement. And or rather, you talked about the issue of security, building structures and making sure that the local government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are carefully and wonderfully taken care of. That would have been a great achievement. These are 5 indices. And when you relate it to the relationship of what he was able to do in Anambra, all of these 5 things that I mentioned were provided to the people of Anambra State. You can verify.
Doctor, apologies to cut you short. We are running out of time, but I want to get your reaction on what the 2027 election is going to look like from your party. Of course, I don't want to go back to what happened in 2023 because time will not permit us. But now, I am sure that you know you're competing with bigger force, which is the APC, and the PDP perhaps. But now, what preparation are you putting in ground to ensure that your party comes in power in 2027? Are you kind of afraid that what happened in 2023 might occur again in 2027?
What I would tell you, and I use this opportunity to announce to the whole world, is that we are not going to be taking unaccessible or accused of structure building or not building. What we intend to do using the obedient movement, which I will say clearly, is that we are building our structures to the wards, to the polling units. So even if you are defeating us, defeat us clearly. But the era of manipulation, stealing of people's votes, manipulating the narrative in the media, or rather infusing and more or less intimidating people, I repeat, will not happen in 2027. Okay. That I can assure you by the grace of God.
Well, I would have loved to hear the measures you're putting in place. Are you going to hope on the judiciary, or I would, Nigerians would love to know. Trust me.
Well, let me say this. Strategically, it will be very much unwise for me to come on publicly and tell you what we intend to put in place.
Okay.
But the only statement I will make is that we are aware there's a strategic plan in capturing the states. The judiciary salary has been increased. The tenure of the police IG has been increased and extended. Then the issue of our military has been gagged. The issue of INEC is going to be consolidated by their new appointment of new INEC chairman. The people have been manipulated, even though they use their money to gag them and say, we are giving you 5 naira or 10 naira out of what we have already been able to siphon from what's supposed to belong to you. These are systems that they are putting, and Nigerians are very, very much aware of it. So what we'll do is to work against all of these things that they are planning to do against the Nigerian people. And besides, hunger knows no bounds. The situation in Nigeria, you don't need to be told whether if you collect 10 naira or 20 naira from those who have continued to put you in perpetual poverty will make you to have good governance. If you want good governance, the best way for you is to come in and work with the obedient movement so that you can entrust a person of capacity, competence, credibility, enthusiasm, and empathy. And that person is no other than Peter Gregory Obi.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Tanko Unisi. Apologies that time won't allow us to talk further, but trust me, I'll definitely bring you on board again to talk to us more about what your party intends to do, and of course, the activities going on in your political party. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I really do appreciate your audience.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Bless you too. Have a great evening. Well, at this point, this is where we come to the end of the program. Don't forget to join us again on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Keep watching Kaftan Television. I am Messi Emelite. Enjoy the rest of your evening.